I'm currently drinking a Keurig K-Cup of the breakfast blend of McDonald's coffee. That is probably the most unrefined, cheap, you could even argue wasteful class of coffee you could consume. Because, coffee is one of those commodities that are like really refined, where it's like you need to get a good cup of coffee, a good cup of coffee. But even though I'm well aware that it's probably the cheapest thing on the market, I feel pretty good, pretty satisfied, Because while I'm aware that a good cup of coffee, I suppose, if we're going through an objective, quantifiable sense, it would be like, Arabian coffee beans ground finely by hand and brewed for 2 hours. I don't know. I'm not a coffee connoisseur. That's not my thing. But while I understand objectively that might be what one would consider good through rational standards, right now, me sitting by myself in this room with a shit cup of coffee and an old Star Wars mug that I've owned for like 6 years now, I feel good. I suppose it's all about subjectivity, It's all about perspective. Because while I'm aware that there is something better to achieve, something better to strive towards, right now, in this moment in time, the feeling of my ass on this chair, the feeling of the shirt on my back, I am at peace. Because I'm doing what they call living in the moment, Because it can all get so overwhelming sometimes. It can all get very intense very fast. Because you're always thinking about what you ought to be doing or what you could be doing and whatever doings you want to use. You're always thinking about those things. The things could always be better, obviously. But aiming towards things that are better objectively, while it can provide some gratification, ultimately doesn't really mean anything, This cup of coffee, while it may be shit, because Keurig is kind of a shit company. And I'm not even talking about their like corporate social responsibility or what their triple bottom line is. No, I'm talking about just the concept of a machine that just poops out instant coffee. Like, that's all it is. People like to shit on Nescafe because you like coffee that you just put in like hot water and spin and mix. Wow. But then they like chug K-cups. Like, it's the same thing. It's hot water being shot rapidly through a little fucking plastic cup thing. So lots of microplastics, hot water melting the plastic as it pours into your coffee cup, and you're just supposed to enjoy it. While I understand that it objectively is bad coffee, it feels good. Now, I'm not advocating for you to eat things that are bad for you or to do things that are bad for you, but it's more so having an awareness that right now at this moment, in the calmness of this room that's empty, with my shit cup of coffee, and just enjoying the fact that I am here. That's what matters. That's real, so to speak. I really like coffee that's from shitty donut place. I keep saying that word, but I don't want to curse so much. So I like eating or drinking sometimes coffee from raggedy old donut places, or even better, rundown gas stations. Rundown in the sense that they aren't Valero or Exxon or Shell. They're none of those things. They're just some independent person who has a licensing agreement, obviously, but they have their own little coffee machines and stuff, and they just give it to you in like a generic foam cup, and right there they have plain old like generic sugar, generic creamer. That's, to me, that's the best. That is the best. What I'm experiencing in that specific moment, to me, is real. It's reality. I'm in the space that I'm drinking that coffee in has been lived in so much, because while yes, the gas station owner's trying to make the gas station as best as they can, obviously just by nature they can't do that much. They don't have that kind of money or resources or even time or interest in trying to make it better than what it is right now. But it shows to me a lot more soul, that this place is used, that this place is owned by a person who's just trying their best. And the coffee you're drinking, while they make it every day, they don't even think about it. To me, it means everything. It means absolutely everything. To be sitting there, and most of the time when I drink gas station coffee, let me tell you, it's not because I'm in a good place. Usually it's because I just came from a night of just absolute garbage, or just like, while I may have had a good night previously, right now at this moment I am tired, aching, weary. I could sleep for 1,000 years, you know. And so drinking that cup of coffee in that moment, it all just comes together into a feeling of realness, that I'm alive, if that makes any sense. On the flip side, I also enjoy drinking coffee with my family, my parents, my sibling, just sitting there at the dinner table Sunday morning, cup of coffee that was brewed in my mother's coffee pot. Once again, just Folgers Classic Roast, nothing special, probably one of the most generic coffee brands you could purchase. But sitting there and drinking that with everyone, waking up late Sunday morning, and just drinking that cup of coffee, talking to my mother, father watching TV, siblings are still asleep, just me. Absolutely priceless. Because that moment's very real too. The coffee could be better. The table I'm sitting at on Sunday mornings is a bad table. It's not a good table. It's damaged. We fixed up the face of the table, I'll tell you that much. We fixed it up, put a new board and everything. But the thing is, it's objectively a bad table. The house is objectively in ruin. Now, it's not falling apart, but it could be much better. But that doesn't mean anything to me. Of course, I want to live in a home where the roof doesn't cave in, or the wall doesn't have a high chance of falling apart. Now, of course, you should have that. You should strive for that. But ultimately, if there's anything you can get out of what I'm talking about right now, in my little rambling while drinking my coffee, is to really enjoy the moment right now. Coffee could be better, table could be better, my shoes could be better, the weather could be better. A lot of these things are outside of my control. The one thing that is in my control, though, is how I feel about it. And so instead of drinking this instead of drinking this bad cup of coffee from the gas station and thinking, God, this is awful, oh my goodness, I shouldn't have bought this. Look, in that moment, I'm just glad I can drink a cup of coffee. I'm just glad this gas station owner, as bad of a gas station it is, I'm glad he opened up that business. I'm glad he even bothered with any of this. Because now I can sit there in that bad stool near the counter, drinking a bad cup of coffee in a foam cup in front of a gas station where the paint is fading out on the outside. There's an ice machine that's empty. Parking lots destroyed. Cracks all over it. Fog, because I live in a humid area, so fog's pretty commonplace. I love every minute of it. Things could be better. Absolutely. But I'm also grateful to be able to slow down.